down Time's recording. I'm starting the live stream. Ready? Set. Oh, come on.
Don't
I'll
tease me.
start.
I'm hot.
Don't forget to record.
Hello, welcome to our 5th episode of Real Talk with Lakewood Principals. Again, we want to thank our friends here at Link Northwest for letting us use their recording studio and taking care of the technology for us. I'm Amanda Cote, I'm the principal at Lakewood Middle School.
And I'm Jeanette Grisham. I'm the principal at Lakewood High School. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Tonight's focus is sharing resources with families to support our students over the summer. We are now under 4 weeks to the last day of school for us. Our last day is June 13th this year. And so we wanted to bring together some resources that would help our families over the summer. That being said, we've invited our 2 student support advocates, Heather Omlad, who works with our elementary schools, and Emily Schulenberg, who works with both the middle school and the high school.
This idea really stemmed from the work that Lakewood High School is doing with JED Forefront. We have been part of a pilot program to put together crisis intervention and suicide prevention resources and a strategic plan in our building over the course of the next 3 years. And hopefully that will inform our entire district. But part of that work is thinking about our students and what they need when they're away from school. So we realize that when students are away from school during the summer, they don't always have access to the adults they do during the school year. And they really do rely on us to support them during difficult times. So just because our students are out on summer break doesn't mean that they're not going to need support. They don't wait until September to come back and say, okay, this is what happened. So what we're hoping to share with you tonight are resources to access during the break, as well as what to look for if your teenager is struggling. So Heather and Emily, what can parents look for in regards to their teenagers' mental well-being at home during the summer?
Well, according to the Seattle Children's Hospital, warning signs for mental health can look like severe mood swings, big changes in behavior, sudden and overwhelming fear or worry, trouble sleeping, changes in eating habits, and so on. Check in with your child or teen, ask how they are feeling and how things are going in their life. Listen to their words and pay attention to any changes in their behavior.
Yeah, it's important to be an active listener. Be aware that your child might not want to problem solve. They just might want to be heard and accepted and have their feelings validated. Ask your child to come up with coping mechanisms for when they start feeling scared or mad or upset. A lot of those coping mechanisms can look like exercising, journaling, breathing exercises, calling a friend, listening to music, or just reframing mindset. I mean, there's all sorts of things. It's really dependent student to student. If they need support during the school year, we always start with the student's counselor. For student support advocates, we can help families navigate signing up for counseling services. We can connect you to relevant hotlines if that's what your student needs. But it's important to note that we are not trained mental health professionals. We are not therapists. We are community resource liaisons. And it's our goal to make sure that every family feels like they have working knowledge of these resource lists, what applies to them and their students. And we can always, again, help navigate any of those resources with you and your family.
Before we move on to your question, Principal Cote, I am curious. So when we're sitting at home with our kids, the entry point, like I notice some of these things are happening. Maybe my child is spending more time in their bedroom than normal, or they're on video games, or they're on social media. Like, what is that entry point to walk in and be like, hey, like, what's going on? Is there something you want to talk about? Like, what questions can parents ask that are non-threatening, but more engaging or for students when they're at home?
Me? Perfect. I think a good entry point is just consistent communication. Obviously, parents are going to know their students better than anyone else. And I think consistency in saying, I have noticed this in your behavior, or, I've seen that your sleeping is a little different than usual. Are you doing okay? And just being involved in like who your students' friends are, who they're spending their time with, what they like to do in their free time. There's not really one universal question entry point. I think it's just really person to person.
Well, and I think that on a daily basis, asking those questions so it isn't such a big deal when you do ask them. Checking in normally at this stage in what's happening in our society, it's hard to know because I'm on my phone a lot, but that isn't necessarily meaning that I'm mentally, struggling or anything like that. But there's, none of us I am not doing traditional sit down dinners anymore. I mean, everybody's going a different direction. So just checking in with them daily, whether you're seeing signs or not, then you get a baseline.
Yeah, I think one of the things that you said, Emily, that made me think, I mean, I have a 13-year-old daughter at home, and I'm very cognizant of the time she spends on her phone and really trying to be really aware of that. But it's that entry point that, that I'm noticing, right? Not the, like, you've been doing this and this. It's like, if I open it with, like, wow, you seem upset. Did you get a good night's sleep last night? Is there something that you want to talk about? But I think it is that regular entry points. If you don't talk every day and ask some of these questions, it's hard to come in when you really are noticing something that's big.
And also, like, sharing your own
Absolutely.
experiences. I find that when I tell the kids that I've had a bad day or anything like that, then it kind of opens up that dialogue of what happened in their day, good or bad. So then you're having that back and forth. And then they can see that parents also struggle, adults also struggle. Social media is a killer for all of us right now.
I think that's a great point, sharing your point of view and then how you handle it, right?
Yeah.
I know that I'll catch myself, hey, I had a really bad day. I need to, go have 15 minutes, right? I need to go do a yoga class, or I need to go take a walk or something. And then, hey, can we talk afterwards?
Yeah.
And so modeling a healthy way to handle it, I think, is also a super, they can see that in us.
Yeah, and something you just said that I think we don't do a good job of is sharing our highlights and our good times too.
Yeah.
Instead of, wow, I'm noticing that you're in your room a lot, or I noticed that you seem down today. It's like, hey, you're actually in a really, like, you're in a good mood today.
Yeah.
Like, what happened? What did you do? What activity like lightened your spirits? And us modeling that well too. So walking in and be like, I had a great day today. I know my son and I, he'll walk in the door. He's like, how was your day at work, Mom? How was school? I'm like, it was good. How was work for you? And talking about the good things, so that when there are bad things, you're not always just focused on the bad. So
that's a really
super
good
important.
point.
Thank
Really
you.
good point. I know there's a lot of kind of resources within our own community that our families can tap into. I think there's a family night that's going on locally.
Yes, this tomorrow.
Oh, wonderful.
Here at Link Northwest from 5 to 7. There is going to be Narcan training. There is going to be conversations about mental health and substance abuse. Also, anytime you come into Link, right at their front door, there's all the resources that you may need just in life and struggling with all of the things that are going on. But yes, tomorrow night from 5 to 7, you can get on Link's website and register for it, or you can just walk in.
That's awesome. That's great. Very timely.
Yeah.
What's happening right now, exactly.
See how good we are?
Like we planned things.
So organized.
And there's a summer kickoff, is
Oh.
that right?
Yeah. And then on Saturday, June 8th from 11 to 2, Link is also hosting a summer kickoff. And this is going to have a ton of resources, but also a level of like fun. There's going to be a bouncy house, and games.
3 bouncy.
3 bouncy
I love a good
houses.
bounce house.
Food, booths, all the resources for the summer. Things like Emily and I are putting together like concerts in the park or movies in the park. I'm more geared to the little kids because I'm at the primary schools, but not just who's struggling and needs help, but sometimes during the summer as a mom you're like, I'm bored. They gotta be bored, and they're asking me too many questions now.
What
So
can we
we
do
gotta
together?
find something to do. So Emily and I are putting that resource list together, but also at Link you'll have on the summer kickoff June 8th 11 to 2. It's a Saturday. There's just going to be a ton of resources for all things.
It's the Saturday after graduation. Don't you think you might be a little busy?
Yeah, well, I won't be. I'll be here. I have 5 nieces and nephews graduating this year.
That is a
So
fun June
we
for
had to
you.
take
your own
turns.
child.
And my own child.
Yeah.
So we had to take turns of parties. So
That's
I
nice
do
to
not
schedule.
have the party on June 8th.
It's good scheduling. Thank you.
Yes.
Good scheduling.
Emily, I think you were going to put together like a resource referral list, or is there one that's available to parents?
Yeah, so we have one coming out. It'll be on the district webpage. Every out of office messaging will have a link to the resource sheet. There's going to be crisis lines on there. We'll have counseling services, and they're geared towards all different groups. There'll be like ethnically centric counseling. There's LGBTQIA plus counseling. Just a ton of resources. We've got Teen Link on there. That's a crisis link for teens by teens. So they can text this line, and it's open, I want to say 6 to 10 p.m. So if there's, an emergency comes up outside of kind of what standard working hours are. But it's nice because in that resource, they can talk to other people in their age group, other people dealing with what they might be dealing with. And it's less of that, it can be kind of intimidating to talk to adults directly sometimes. But yeah, all of that will be linked. And again, every out of office message, it'll be on our district website. And it's just a simple one pager. It's separated out by what the concern might be. And it's just a really helpful resource. And I'm really excited for families to get their hands on that and have that be something just so accessible, quick click of a button. And there it is.
Yeah, we're trying to make it easy. Less than 2 to 3 clicks into the district website or school websites to get that resource list. We'll actually include it when we post our recording, our link to our recording. We will have the resources posted under the link to the recording. So that'll be in our parent message this week, how you can access it there. And I think one of the important things to remember is we are talking about summer resources for families right now, but a lot of the resources are for students. Like you said, the Teen Link is a crisis line for teens by teens. But I also want to add that we are doing a little bit of work in the building. The week of June 3rd, we'll have some summer resource, community resources available at tables in our lunchroom. Link Northwest will be there. We'll have the coalition there. And then I think we are having Cocoon House and
Cocoon House and Snow Isle Library.
Snow Isle Library for summer resources for students. Just trying to get an abundance of ideas out there for kids and connections for kids when they're away from school. We always think about summer break being fun and exciting and a time for relaxation and rest for our students, but for a lot of our students, that's not necessarily true. They summer is hard for them, and they don't have the support and the resources that they need, and so we want to make sure that everybody has access to that.
Like we were talking earlier about the conversation piece, that would be a great conversation piece that week with any student at the high school. What did you see at lunch today? What were the resources? Kind of make that connection with them.
Yep.
That's wonderful.
Yep.
Emily and Heather, thank you so much for coming tonight. We really appreciate your time and your willingness to put the resources together and share with our families. I know that I can speak for Jeanette and I. We really appreciate everything that you do within our schools and within our districts and the partnerships that we have. So glad to have you here tonight.
Thank you. I just wanted to add also that Emily and I over the summer, we are on call. So if you find your family struggling, you can always go to the district website and get to the SSA page, and our work cell numbers are on there. And even though we're not going to be physically in the building, we will be checking our phones, and any kind of thing that a family would need, we would be able to come in and help. So if you're struggling this summer with any of the needs that families have, feel free to call Emily or I.
Oh, thank you. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's great. And I think, please correct me if I'm wrong, but there are some things on here and resources that families can tap into that aren't just for crisis and intervention and substance use. I mean, there's things and activities that kids can tap into through Boys and Girls Club, through
Snow Isle Library,
Cocoon House, through Snow Isle Library,
YMCA.
Yeah, YMCA. So if there are things that families are looking for to do that are positive activities, and we want to get our kids out there, those resources are out there as well. So,
and also to mention our food, the summer food program. What were the dates of it?
I want to say it starts right after school gets out.
And runs all the way through July.
Yeah, right up until the start of August.
And I believe it's 7 to noon. And it's anyone 18 or younger in our community. They do not have to go to Lakewood.
Perfect.
So you can bring your little kids in and get a meal, get a breakfast, get a lunch. And even you can take some things with you too if you need extra food at home.
and what's the location of that?
At the Lakewood High School Commons.
Okay.
Great.
Perfect. And that information I'm sure will be on
Yes.
the website as well with the resources.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Well, this is fantastic. Thank you so much for being here tonight, and thanks to all of you for tuning in. Like I said earlier, we will post our recording along with the resources that we shared with you tonight. And sadly, this is our last episode for the school year. I know I'm going to miss it, but we will be back in September with hopefully some new topics, new ideas from all of you. If you have ideas, please send them to us. But please have a safe and relaxing break, and we look forward to seeing you all in September.
Thank you.
Do the waves.